What is going on, guys? Quality XA here today, and today I'm bringing you guys a brand new video on Destiny 2. Now today we're actually going to be talking about Bungie specifically. We've also got some news on some of the updates and some of the stuff that we can be expecting in the up and coming patches. So jumping into this, so Bungie did announce on January the 10th that they are announcing plans for Bungie to assume full publishing rights for the Destiny franchise. So basically what this is, they will be the publishers for their own game, not Activision. Their 10-year contract has actually finished. Now this is quite good news. It's also sad news for some of the people who worked at Activision for Bungie, but this hopefully means that we get less microtransactions and a load of good steps in the right direction for Bungie. We know they created an awesome Halo franchise, so let's hope that they make the Destiny franchise just as good as that with the next coming updates as well as the few coming games. Pretty awesome. There is also some speculation they could be joining Xbox, so Phil Spencer did actually tweet back saying, "Looking forward to a very bright future working with one of my favourite independent studios on one of my favourite franchises. Excited to see how they continue to grow and evolve Destiny." Obviously what this could mean is there is a possibility that we could get the 30 days early content what PlayStation had. Now, I personally think that it is going to be all released at the same time, so it won't be in favour of Xbox, but when new content does come around, everyone will get it instead of PlayStation having it 30 days early. But again, we'll just have to wait and see about that because it is not concrete. So, moving on to more of the patch notes. So we've got some damage increases for some of the supers. So the Golden Gun, the Shadow Shot, the Arc Staff, the Burning Maul, Hammer of Soul, Fist of Havoc, Sentinel Shield, the Nova Bomb and Daybreak. There was also some small damage decreases, that being in the Blade Barrage and the Nova Warp. Let me know in the comment section below how you guys feel about that. Obviously the Blade Barrage and the Nova Warp are currently the most used supers in the game for their respective classes, so again we'll have to wait and see how that actually works out. Moving on to some of the bigger changes though for the classes. So for the Hunter, for the Gunslinger, Golden Gun, 6 shooter kills, return a bullet, and practice makes perfect super regen increased. For Blade Barrage, the damage is now heavily weighted on the delayed explosion instead of the knife impact. Now deals self damage if the knife explodes too close, and fixed a bug where the knives would track allies. Also the Night Stalker, so Mobius Quiver, entire damage bonus is applied on the first hit instead of stacking and multiplying, increased tether radius and lifetime, made it easier to fire successive tethers, and for Spectral Blades the damage resistance in stealth decreased and duration of super while invisible is slightly decreased as well. And then for the Arc Strider, super damage is now more heavily weighted toward the heavy palm strike attack. No attack damage was reduced, but much of the added damage for this super went into heavy attack, and lethal current bonus damage has been increased as well. So some really good changes for the Hunter. I'm really hoping to see some of the underused supers used a lot more instead of seeing that Blade Barrage. So some good changes. Again, let me know if you're a Hunter and what super you'll be using for the next update. Moving on for the Titan, for the Sunbreaker, we've got Sunspot. So doubled the damage of the burn on enemies. Sun Warrior, buff length increase from 3 seconds to 5 seconds and now increases all outgoing damage. And then for the Burning Maul, slam radius has been increased as well as slam fire tornado improved homing. Moving on to the Sentinel, super damage is more heavily weighted on the heavy shield charge attack. And no attack damage was reduced, but much of the added damage for this super went into heavy attack. And then for the Striker, we've got Terminal Velocity, so there are now 3 tiers of hang time. The amount of hang time for each tier has been reworked. Each tier of hang time now causes 4 damage shocks instead of 3, and the damage for the hang time bonuses has been increased significantly. And then for Trample, the light shoulder charge attack super cost has been reduced by -85%, and Trample can now trigger every 0.5 seconds, up from every 1 second. So again, really good changes here. I'm really looking forward to the Sentinel, using the heavy attacks on that. Obviously, one of the more used supers, but very good regardless. And there's also a load of changes for the Sunbreaker class as well, so really awesome. And then last but not least, the big class, the Warlock. So changes, the super duration increased for the Dawnblade. Moving on to the Voidwalker, the Catalysm, increased detonation radius, cluster damage increased, improved cluster bomb homing to make it more consistent against single targets, and cluster bombs no longer detonate one another. Vortex, the linger damage has been increased significantly. Moving on to Nova Warp, slower movement while charging. Charging costs more energy and overall duration is reduced. Damage resistance reduced very slightly, and PvP damage reduction and charged detonation will no longer be able to one-shot another player in their super, provided it has damage resistance. And then Stormcaller, Storm Trance, so increased number of targets for Chain Lightning by 1. So again, some really good changes here. I'm personally upset about the Nova Warp, one of these supers that I use absolutely all the time. It's absolutely amazing in most situations, but I am looking to use the Storm Trance quite a bit now. Considering they've increased the amount of targets that you can chain by 1, that's actually incredible. So yeah, just have to see how that works around. That's pretty much all of the big patch notes, but now moving on to the Iron Banner and Valor bonus. So that's going to be beginning January the 15th and ending January the 22nd. So obviously we have got the Iron Banner armor looking really awesome, and here it actually showcases the sniper as well as the SMG, so some really cool weapons to look forward to this time around, and it actually begins very soon, so definitely worth taking part in. Moving in, I did want to actually say about the Obsidian Accelerator. This is actually a random drop from the forges now once you actually unlock the Burguzia Forge, and this actually increases damage during forge ignitions. It's very good. I personally haven't had one drop for me as of yet, but a very good bonus which you actually hand into Ada 1. Really awesome indeed. And then last but not least, we're actually going to be talking about the Season of the Forge vital information and known issues. So I will allow you guys to pause this and read it for yourselves. But here is the list of stuff what they talk about: the Obsidian Accelerator, the Key Mold and Mysterious Box, the Forge Key issues, the Master Smith Triumph, the Le Monarch Poisonous Arrows perk, and Forged in Fire Triumph. So definitely worth reading through them if you're having any issues or information that you guys need to check out on them. But yes guys, that is pretty much the video. If you enjoyed, a like would be much appreciated as always, and subscribing if you guys are new around here is much appreciated. But as always, peace out, and I hope you enjoyed.